The lunch rush at Mabel's diner was in full swing. The clinking of silverware against plates and the murmur of conversation filled the modest establishment as Sarah Collins maneuvered between tables with practiced ease. "Order up for table 7, called out the cook from the kitchen window. Sarah tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and grabbed the plates. "Coming through," she said with a genuine smile that somehow remained bright despite the exhaustion in her eyes. She set the plates down at a table where an elderly couple sat. "Here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez. Anything else I can get for you?" "You're an angel, Sarah," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "How are your classes going?" "One day at a time," Sarah replied. "Midterms are next week, but I'll manage." At the counter, her co-worker Denise leaned in as Sarah picked up coffee for another table. "Your brother called. Said his appointment got moved up." Sarah's smile faltered momentarily. "That means the payment is due sooner too. Any chance I could pick up Tina's shift tomorrow?" "Already added you to the schedule, hon," Denise said, squeezing her arm. "You're a lifesaver," Sarah said, her smile returning as she grabbed the coffee pot. The bell above the door chimed. Sarah glanced up to see a distinguished man in his 50s, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Behind him trailed a younger man, early 20s, whose uncomfortable expression contrasted sharply with the older man's confident stride. "Table for 2, please," the older man said without looking up from his phone. "Right this way, sir," Sarah led them to a booth by the window. "I'm Sarah. I'll be taking care of you today. Can I start you with some drinks?" The older man barely acknowledged her. "Coffee, black." The younger man looked apologetic. "Water, please. Thank you." When Sarah returned with their drinks, she placed them down carefully. "Ready to order?" "He'll have the club sandwich," the older man said, gesturing to his companion. "I'll take the Cobb salad, dressing on the side." "Dad, I can order for myself," the younger man said quietly. The older man sighed. "Ethan, we're already running late for the meeting." Sarah noticed Ethan's hands start to tremble. His breathing quickened as he stared at the table. "Ethan?" his father asked, irritation turning to confusion. Ethan's breathing became more labored. His eyes widened in panic. Sarah immediately set down her notepad. "Ethan, look at me," she said calmly, kneeling to his eye level. "You're having an anxiety attack. I need you to breathe with me, okay?" Ethan's father stood awkwardly. "Should I call someone? A doctor?" Sarah shook her head, keeping her focus on Ethan. "In through your nose, count to 4, she demonstrated. "Now hold for 2, and out through your mouth. That's it." She continued guiding him through the breathing exercises. "My brother gets these too. You're doing great." Gradually, Ethan's breathing steadied. Colour returned to his face as he followed Sarah's instructions. "Thank you," he whispered, embarrassment replacing panic. "No need to thank me," Sarah replied warmly. "Happens to the best of us." She stood, turning to the father who was watching with an expression of stunned realization. For the first time since entering, William Harrison truly looked at the waitress. In front of him, really looked at her, and something in his carefully constructed world shifted. "I'll give you both a minute," Sarah said, moving to check on her other tables, unaware of the profound impact her simple act of kindness had just made. Sarah slumped into a chair in the break room, massaging her feet. Denise handed her a cup of coffee. "You're a saint for taking that double again," Denise said. "How's Michael doing with those new treatments?" Sarah sighed, her cheerful customer service facade momentarily dropping. "Better some days. The doctors are optimistic, but the bills keep coming faster than I can pay them." 5 years you've been carrying that load." Denise shook her head. "Most people would have cracked by now." "Not much choice after Mum and Dad's accident," Sarah said, her voice softening. "Michael's all I have left. And honestly, watching the nurses with him is what made me want to become one myself." "Your parents would be proud," Denise said. "Speaking of which, did you finish that nursing school application?" Sarah nodded. "Submitted it last night at 2 a.m. Now back to reality." She stood, straightened her apron, and her smile returned, genuine despite everything. Tables won't serve themselves. Across town in a sleek high-rise office, William Harrison paced with his phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what the focus groups say, Parker. Raising the price is the right move. People who need the medication will find a way to pay. William ended the call as Ethan entered his office. The contrast between father and son was stark. William's crisp suit and commanding presence versus Ethan's casual clothes and hesitant posture. You wanted to see me, Dad? William gestured to a chair. Jenkins tells me you haven't responded about the board meeting tomorrow. I told you I have volunteer work at the free clinic on Thursdays. Ethan, you have responsibilities to this company. Your mother might have encouraged these humanitarian hobbies, but they're not hobbies, Ethan interrupted, a rare flash of defiance. Mum believed in helping people, before you decided profits were more important than patients. William's expression hardened. Your mother was an idealist. The pharmaceutical business is reality. I left practicing medicine because I saw the bigger picture. The bigger picture of your bank account, Ethan muttered. What was that? Nothing, Ethan said, his confidence evaporating as his breathing quickened slightly. I should go. We're not finished, William called after him, but Ethan was already gone. 2 days later, Ethan sat alone at Mabel's diner, occupying the same booth where he'd had his anxiety attack. Sarah approached with coffee. Well, look who's back, she said warmly. No Dad today. Thankfully, no, Ethan said, then looked embarrassed. Sorry about the other day, Sarah waved dismissively. Please, my brother Michael has had anxiety his whole life. I practically have a PhD in talking people through panic attacks. You mentioned he needs medical care. Sarah nodded. Chronic respiratory conditions since he was 12. Got worse after our parents died. I've been his guardian since I was 23. That's a lot of responsibility, Ethan said. Life happens. Sarah shrugged. What about you? What brings you back here without your dad? Honestly, this place feels real. Dad lives in a world where everything's about status and money. It wasn't always like that. He used to be a doctor who cared about his patients. What changed him? Ethan's gaze drifted to the window. After Mum died, it was like he decided feelings were inefficient. He built this empire but lost himself in the process. He looked back at Sarah. Sorry, oversharing with the waitress. Friends overshare. Sarah corrected him with a smile. Waiting tables is just how I pay for nursing school. You're going to be a nurse? That's the plan. Michael's condition opened my eyes to how important compassionate care is. What about you? I want to open community health clinics where people can get care regardless of income, Ethan admitted. Dad thinks it's naive. And you? I think my mum would approve. His voice softened. She always said true wealth wasn't in your wallet, but in what you gave back to others. Sarah nodded appreciatively. Your mum sounds like she was pretty wise. She was, Ethan said, a genuine smile transforming his face. Maybe someday Dad will remember that too. Outside the diner, William sat in his luxury car, watching his son through the window, seeing him smile for the first time in months as he talked with the waitress, who had shown them both what compassion truly looked like. William Harrison adjusted his position in the corner booth of Mabel's diner, angling himself to better observe Sarah without being noticed. He'd been coming here twice a week for the past month, always during her shifts. Today she looked particularly tired, dark circles under her eyes visible even from across the room. More coffee, Mr. Harrison? Sarah asked, approaching his table. With the pot? Please, he replied, still uncomfortable with her remembering his name. Busy today? No more than usual, she said with that unwavering smile. William watched as she moved to the next table, where a mother struggled with a fussy toddler. Here, let me hold her while you eat, Sarah offered. The exhausted mother handed over the child, and Sarah bounced the little girl on her hip while refilling waters with her free hand. The child quieted immediately. William's phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Donation solicitor in lobby again. Called security as instructed. He frowned, putting his phone away as Sarah returned the now calm child to her mother. Across the diner, Ethan entered and took his regular booth. Sarah's face lit up when she saw him, and William felt an unexpected pang watching their easy rapport. At her apartment that evening, Sarah sorted through a stack of bills at her small kitchen table. Michael sat across from her, his breathing audibly laboured despite the oxygen tubes in his nose. "You should be in bed," Sarah chided gently. "I'm fine," Michael insisted, though his pale complexion suggested otherwise. "Did you hear back about that scholarship?" Sarah shook her head. "Not yet." She opened an official-looking envelope, and her face fell. "What is it?" Michael asked. "Dr. Reeves wants to try a new treatment protocol," Sarah said, forcing brightness into her voice. "It's supposed to be really effective. But insurance won't cover it, considers it experimental." She set the paper aside. "Don't worry about it. I'll figure something out." "Sarah, you can't keep—" "I said don't worry," she interrupted, reaching for his hand. "That's my job." The next day at the diner, Sarah moved more slowly between tables, fatigue evident in her movements. Ethan noticed immediately when she brought his usual coffee. "Rough night?" "Just the usual sleep deprivation," she replied. Michael had breathing issues. Ethan hesitated before speaking. "I've been thinking about what we discussed. The community, clinic idea, and I'm going to do it," he said with newfound determination. "Even if my father doesn't approve." Sarah smiled. "Good for you. Speaking of which, how did that board meeting go?" Ethan looked away. "I didn't attend. I went to volunteer. At the free clinic instead." "Bold move," Sarah said. "Did you tell him?" "Not yet, but I will." That evening, in the Harrison mansion, William confronted Ethan in his study. "Jenkins saw you at that free clinic," William said, his voice dangerously controlled. "You deliberately missed the board meeting." "It was important to me," Ethan replied, standing his ground. "What's important is your responsibility to this company, to your future." "My future is helping people who need it," Ethan said, his voice growing stronger. "Like Sarah does every day." William's expression darkened. "The waitress? What does she have to do with this?" "She works double shifts while putting herself through nursing school and taking care of her sick brother," Ethan said. "She has every reason to give up, but she doesn't. She keeps fighting for what matters." "And what matters to you, Ethan?" William challenged. "The same thing that used to matter to you, Dad, before you decided profits were more important than people." The words hung in the air between them. William's face flushed with anger. "You have no idea what it takes to build what I've built," he said finally. "Maybe I don't want to build that," Ethan replied, turning to leave. Maybe Mum wouldn't have wanted that either. William sat alone in his study long after Ethan left, his son's words echoing uncomfortably in his mind. The next day, William arrived at the diner earlier than usual. From his corner booth, he watched as an elderly man in tattered clothes counted change at the counter, clearly short for his meal. "Don't worry about it, Joe," Sarah said quietly. "It's on the house today." "Can't keep doing that, Sarah," the old man protested weakly. "Sure I can," she insisted, slipping extra toast into a napkin. "For later." After the man left, William watched the manager approach Sarah. "That's the third time this month, Sarah. It's coming out of your check." "I know," she said simply. "He's got nobody else." As William observed this exchange, the memory of brushing past a donation solicitor outside his office building yesterday flashed through his mind. The contrast struck him physically, like a blow to the chest. Sarah's phone rang, and she stepped into a corner to answer it. William couldn't hear the conversation, but he saw her face crumple momentarily before she composed herself. When she returned to work, her hands were shaking. Later, as William paid his bill, he overheard Sarah talking to Denise. "Eviction notice," she whispered. "And Michael's getting worse. The doctor wants him admitted, but without that new treatment." Her voice trailed off. "I'll figure it out. I always do." William left the diner, his mind racing, For the first time in years, the weight of his wealth felt like a burden rather than an achievement. The distance between who he had been as a young doctor and who he had become stretched before him like an unbridgeable chasm. Yet watching Sarah, someone with so little giving so much, made him wonder if perhaps that gap could still be crossed. The ambulance siren wailed as paramedics wheeled. Michael threw the emergency room doors. Sarah ran alongside the gurney, her face pale with terror. "He just collapsed," she explained breathlessly to the doctor who met them. "His oxygen levels dropped and he couldn't breathe." "We'll take it from here," the doctor assured her, as they rushed Michael through double doors. Sarah stood frozen in the hallway, her hands trembling. She sank into a chair, pulling a crumpled eviction notice from her pocket and staring at it numbly. In another wing of the hospital, William strode confidently through the corridor toward the boardroom. He nodded at doctors who recognized him as a major donor. Just before reaching the boardroom, he turned a corner and stopped abruptly. Sarah sat alone, her head in her hands. William hesitated, then approached slowly. "Sarah?" She looked up, her eyes red-rimmed. It took her a moment to recognize him out of context. "Mr. Harrison," she said, quickly wiping her eyes. "What are you doing here?" "Board meeting. I'm on the hospital foundation," he replied. "Is everything all right?" Her composure crumbled. "My brother, he needed that specialized treatment for months, but we couldn't afford it. Now he's..." She gestured helplessly toward the ICU doors. William's expression shifted as realization dawned. "What treatment does he need?" "Some new respiratory protocol. Insurance won't cover it because it's still considered experimental." She laughed bitterly. "Experimental to them, life-saving to us." William went very still. "Is it Respironov?" "Yes," Sarah said, surprised. "How did you know?" William felt as though the floor was tilting beneath him. Respironov was his company's newest treatment, the one whose price he'd personally insisted on raising just months ago. "I should go," he said suddenly. "Wait," Sarah called, not recognizing the stranger's distress, only seeing someone willing to listen. "I've done everything I could for him. Worked double shifts, skipped meals, put off my own dreams, and it still wasn't enough." William stood rooted to the spot as she continued, her voice breaking. "I'm about to lose our apartment. I've already lost my parents. Michael is all I have left and I failed him." "You haven't failed," William said quietly. "I promised I'd take care of him," Sarah whispered. "What am I supposed to do now?" Before William could answer, his phone buzzed. The board was waiting. With one last look at Sarah, he turned and walked rapidly away. 20 minutes later, William burst into the boardroom, interrupting a presentation. The board members looked up in surprise. "We need to discuss the Compassionate Care Initiative," William announced without preamble. "That's not on today's agenda," someone objected. "It is now," William replied firmly. "Our pricing structure for breakthrough treatments is leaving people behind, people who desperately need help." "William, we've discussed this," the CFO interjected. The margins are obscene," William cut in. "We're pricing life-saving treatments like Respironov beyond reach for ordinary people." "This isn't like you," another board member observed. "No," William agreed. "It isn't like who I've become, but it's exactly like the doctor I used to be." Meanwhile, Ethan rushed through the hospital entrance. He spotted Sarah immediately and hurried to her side. "Denise told me what happened," he said, sitting beside her. "How's Michael?" "Still in critical care," Sarah replied, grateful for his presence. A doctor approached them. "Ms. Collins?" Sarah stood quickly. "Yes? How is he?" "Your brother's condition has stabilized," the doctor said. "And I have some good news. We've received authorization to begin the Respironov treatment immediately." Sarah blinked in confusion. "But how? Insurance denied it, and I can't possibly afford..." "It's been arranged," the doctor said. "I don't have the details, but the treatment is fully covered." Sarah's knees buckled. Ethan caught her arm as tears of relief flooded her eyes. From the end of the corridor, William watched the scene unfold. His face reflected a complex mixture of emotions: shame for his past decisions, relief at taking this first step toward redemption, and something else he hadn't felt in years: purpose. 2 weeks later, Sarah sat beside Michael's hospital bed, reading aloud from his favorite book. His color had improved dramatically, and his breathing was steadier than it had been in months. "You don't have to stay all day," Michael said. "Don't you have a shift?" Sarah shook her head. "Denise says they've got it covered. Apparently, someone left an enormous tip in the diner's pool fund, enough that I can take some time off without worrying. And the apartment?" "Strangest thing," Sarah said. "The landlord called yesterday, said there was a clerical error with our notice. We have another 3 months." Michael raised an eyebrow. "That's a lot of convenient miracles happening at once." Sarah smiled. "Maybe we're due for some good luck." Outside the room, she noticed a well-dressed older man speaking softly to a child in a wheelchair, handing the boy a stuffed animal. There was something familiar about him, but he turned away before she could place him. Across town, in his office, William reviewed documents with newfound energy as Ethan sat across from him. These revisions to the Foundation's mission statement look good, William said. "I especially like the focus on community-based care initiatives." Ethan studied his father with cautious optimism. "It's strange seeing you this invested in charitable work. Good strange." "I lost sight of some things over the years," William admitted. "Your mother would be disappointed in who I became." "She'd be proud of who you're becoming now," Ethan replied. "Speaking of which, did you review my proposal for the clinic?" William handed him a folder. "Already approved. We break ground next month." Ethan's face broke into a genuine smile. "Really? Thank you." "I should be thanking you," William said. "And someone else too." The next day, Ethan found Sarah in the hospital cafeteria. "How's Michael?" he asked, joining her. "Improving every day. The treatment is working better than the doctors expected." Ethan smiled. "I have something for you." He handed her an envelope. "It's an offer for a paid internship with a new healthcare initiative. Someone highly recommended you." Sarah opened it, her eyes widening. "This would let me complete my nursing degree while getting practical experience. It's perfect timing. But who would recommend me?" "Someone who recognizes talent when they see it," Ethan said cryptically. Days later, as Sarah helped Michael take a short walk through the hospital corridors, she spotted the same older man she'd noticed before. This time, he was helping an elderly patient adjust her blanket while chatting with her. When he turned, Sarah recognized William Harrison. Their eyes met briefly across the hallway. William nodded almost imperceptibly before continuing his conversation with the patient. Sarah watched, puzzled by this new version of the cold businessman she'd first met. A man now offering comfort to strangers with the same genuine care she'd shown his son weeks ago. As Michael continued improving, Sarah began to notice other changes: scholarship notifications for her nursing program, an invitation to interview for the hospital staff after graduation. Pieces were falling into place too neatly to be coincidence. Yet her mysterious benefactor remained in the shadows, his compassion rippling outward like stones cast in still water. 2 years later, Sarah adjusted her graduation cap as Michael snapped photos with her new phone. "You're going to waste all the storage before the ceremony even starts," she laughed. "I'm documenting everything," Michael replied. His healthy complexion and steady breathing showed no trace of his former illness. "First college graduate in our family. Mum and Dad would be so proud." The ceremony proceeded with typical pomp until the Dean announced a special award. This year's Excellence in Compassionate Care Scholarship goes to a student who exemplifies the qualities we seek in healthcare professionals. Sarah Collins, please come forward. Surprised, Sarah made her way to the stage. Her shock deepened when she saw who waited to present the award: William Harrison. Ms. Collins demonstrates that true healthcare isn't just about medical knowledge, but about seeing the humanity in every patient, William said into the microphone. 2 years ago, I witnessed her compassion firsthand when she helped my son through a crisis. That moment changed the trajectory of not just her life, but mine as well. Sarah accepted the award, finally understanding the connection between all the mysterious opportunities she'd received. After the ceremony, William and Ethan approached her. "Congratulations," Ethan said warmly. "It was you all along," Sarah said to William. "The treatment, the internship, everything." William nodded. "You showed me what I'd forgotten, that wealth means nothing if it isn't used to help others." "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Would you have accepted help from the cold businessman you first met?" William asked. Sarah smiled. "Probably not. Your kindness to my son reminded me of who I used to be," William said. "I should be thanking you." 6 months later, at the East Side Community Health Clinic, the gleaming new facility Ethan had dreamed of creating, Sarah guided new nursing students through patient care protocols, while Ethan coordinated volunteer schedules. William moved between examination rooms, ensuring the clinic's operations ran smoothly while remaining affordable. In the main treatment area, a young woman began hyperventilating, showing signs of an anxiety attack. Sarah immediately moved to her side, demonstrating breathing techniques to the nursing students. "In through your nose, count to 4, she instructed calmly. Ethan brought a cup of water, while William adjusted the room's lighting to create a more soothing environment. Together, their complementary skills created a safety net for the patient, just as they'd created for each other. As the woman's breathing steadied, Sarah caught William's eye. The man who once measured wealth in dollars now measured it in moments like these, moments where privilege became purpose and compassion created change that rippled outward, improving countless lives beyond their own.